Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Harmonize, 2Energize. My name is Terry Matthews. I work remotely for the Mary Burmeister Jin Shin Jyutsu Institute, which is the source of authentic Jin Shin Jyutsu. We have a website. Let's have a look. Oh, here we are. This is the Jin Shin Jyutsu website. You can go to it via www.jsjinc.net and read all about us. Jin Shin Jyutsu, for those of you that are new, is not a substitute for any medical care. It is a complement. And we have all our various courses under all these links. Tomorrow, there will be a webinar on freeing your back, neck, and shoulders from the weight of the world. And you can sign up for it just right here. There's all the information. And then we have a basic seminar, which is generally speaking for those people that want to learn how to practice Jin Shin Jyutsu. All the information again here and how you can register there. And there's also a self-help class coming up March the 11th with Sarah Harper. Again, the information is all here on the homepage of the website. And if you miss any of our offerings, you can always get a chance to see them through the replays. Yeah. So for the new people, Jin Shin Jyutsu is an art of harmonizing the life energy as it travels, congruently or not, through the body. In Jin Shin Jyutsu, we map the energy pathways on the spine, left and right of the spine, and we place our hands on what we call safety energy locks. There's 26 of them, left and right of the spine, and when we connect with them, they act like transformers to reduce resistance and allow energy to flow through from our soul, heart, mind, and body to keep us in reasonable harmony and balance as we journey on this thing we call life. So welcome, everybody. And I hope you've been having a good week. Friday is now going to be the time that Harmonize to Energize will always take place. We'll have a little bit longer though now, 40 minutes, time for some questions. There will be opportunities for people to share stories still, so keep on bringing them on. And today's stories are all about Safety Energy Lock 15. And I wasn't around when Ale actually did the presentation on this last time. But instead of using the text on the tarot, which I used a lot last time, we're now referring to quotes from, there they are, some of our instructors, some who are with us, some who have moved on, shall we say. And Safety Energy Lock 15 is an interesting safety energy lock indeed. Let's have a quick look at the slides so you can see where it is. There it is. There is Safety Energy Lock number 15. Right there in the groin area, right and left. So, as we look through these excerpts from what was our 3-monthly magazine, quarterly magazine, the main central, let's hear from Lynn Pfluger, Matthias Roth, and Jed Schwartz. Lynn Pfluger said, 15 is fun. 15 adds up, well, the different numbers add up in relation to the letters in the word 15 add up to 11. And many of you who've studied Jin Shin Jyutsu will know that we hold the 11 and the 15 mainly as a way of helping energy to ascend by removing blockages on the descending pathway. So Lynn goes on to say 15 helps 11 unload all excess baggage. Great. Life is fun without carrying around all the excess from past and present. No more try-tos, no more worries and frustrations. The fun of 15 transforms the mind. She says here, our teacher Mary found many ways to express and share her understanding of Jin Shin Jyutsu. In one class, she talked about jumper cabling 15 with 11 to mean I am okay. 15 is O and 11 is K. Shortly after this particular class, a woman came to me for a session in a state of great upset. The material elements of her life were crumbling, leaving her a fearful, worried, chaotic frame of mind. Now, does that sound familiar to any of you? Maybe more so these days, who knows? But maybe you've had this experience. Okay. So then goes on to say, Mary's lecture came to mind. My friend received a 15 flow, which is a flow from textbook 1, the practitioner text, and an 11 flow on both right and left sides of the body, with the result that her pulses, which is the registration of how well energy is flowing through the body, harmonized. The next chapter in her story brought even greater financial abundance than before. 15 is renewing intelligence. So, if you're going through an experience where you're feeling quite depressed about your material existence, maybe you need to hold your 15s, perhaps with your 11s, or just hold them right and left, or receive a 15 flow from a Jin Shin practitioner. Matthias Roth. 15 is the party at the end of second depth. Second depth, for those who knew, relates to the safety energy locks 5 to 15, and they all enhance the movement of energy governed by the lung and large intestine. So Matthias goes with the idea of from spirit to the bus line through mind to the waistline, we have landed in a laughing, happy body at the groin. No valley of tears, no vile nether region waiting to be transcended. The Earth 15 hip line of Jin Shin Jyutsu is a garden of joy and happiness. God, doesn't that sound great? If it doesn't feel that way to you, 15 is just the one for you. As you laugh away sorrow through an open 15, all sadness melts away. In the sun of your new happiness, new ideas are hatched and old attachments wither with them. The sadness, seeds of major labels melt away. The 15 body lightens up, my aching back unloads its dreary bundle, straightens up and stays that way. It is through joy that we rise back into spirit. Jed Schwartz. I had a new client whose groin area was like a sheet of steel from the pubic area to the hip bone. Holding the 15 and 6, which is the first step of the 15 flow, I listened and waited while he began to doze off. Sometime later, while I continued the flow, my client awoke and began to laugh hysterically for about 5 minutes. Now, that is an experience I had myself when I was I think I told people when I was first introduced to Jin Shin Jyutsu, someone touched my 15s and I burst into laughter. And she said, how appropriate. So, Jed goes on to say, Norman Cousins in his book, The Anatomy of an Illness, writes about his journey towards healing. Seriously ill and without hope, he found himself in the hospital feeling worse than ever. Cousins came to the awareness that the healthiest and happiest times in his life were when he was joyous and filled with laughter, which wasn't apparently happening for him in hospital. He checked out and filled his life with things that gave him joy and laughter. Positive emotions are connected to chemical changes. Through joy and laughter, harmony began and then healing. A great example of the power of Safety Energy Lock 15. So, without further ado, well, let's do some practices to enliven our Safety Energy Lock 15. Mary talks about it in Self-Help Book 2. There it is. For those of you that have Self-Help Book 2 or don't, it's on page 40 and 41. You can order it on our website. Anyway, it will help everything that the instructor said, plus abdominal and leg tension, hips, knees, foot disharmonies, including bloat tension, stress. Those of you that follow along with Harmonize to Energize will know that we practice 4 sets of 9 breaths, and the breath in Jin Shin Jyutsu is 1 exhalation followed by an inhalation from the back of the head through the groin, through the 15, to the 7, the big toe, and back 7, 15, and 4. And we do that 4 times. We have 3 practices here. We can either end the practices with a hug, which is your 4th 9 exhalation inhalations, or if you find any one of these practices really worthwhile and you want to go forward with them even more, then you can stay with them or do another round of them. So, without further ado, let us begin. Choose either the left or right little finger to begin with. Do a little bit of examination, see which one feels a little tighter than the other, perhaps. And then we're going to sit up as straight as we can, drop our shoulders, and we're just going to exhale, holding the little finger left or right. Exhale from the head through the 15 at the hip to the big toe. Letting go of all the things we don't need. And then inhaling, receiving what we do want. Cosmic purified energy, feeding our cells and filling us with greater harmony and the possibility of joy and laughter. So let's begin. 9 exhalation inhalations. Here we go. Close your eyes, stun your cell phone, relax, drop shoulders, and maybe you want to smile now you're holding your little finger. And as you're letting go of your dust and greasy grime, feel the Mother Earth connection through your feet, taking away like an earthing cable that which you don't need in order to build what you do need. And you just go at your own pace. Your metabolic rate is different from mine. No particular way of breathing out and in, through the mouth, through the nose, whatever is comfortable for you at this time. And feel those 15s in the hip line melting away your sorrows and creating something more harmonious, more joyful, more balanced for you now. And as we're doing these practices, whether it's holding a finger or an energy lock on the body, we're waiting to feel a response in the form of a pulse. It registers just like when you feel the radial artery pulse. It's actually the energy pulse that we're actually listening for, but you'll hear the blood pulse because the blood follows the energy, not the other way around. Filling your heart with joy and laughter. And as you reach the 9th exhalation, inhalation, just remain in a neutral position. Keep your hands holding whatever you are holding, little finger left or right, and just become aware of how you feel, where you feel, if you feel anything in your energy field, in your body. Notice what you're thinking. It's easy to be drawn into negative thoughts, messages, negative information. For some reason, the world chooses to emphasize the negative over the positive in the media generally. And that brings a rather pessimistic energy into the world. I don't know that we've ever really fully experienced what joy could bring to the world. But we might as well explore it ourselves, because joy and laughter feed the cells, heal illness, can heal illness, and certainly can support the healing process. Okay, the second option, you see in the diagram there, placing both hands in the hip groin area. Just hold them there. And we'll begin our 9 exhalation inhalations. Here we go. Just letting go from the shoulder area, back of the head, moving through the 15, so that the regeneration flows from the feet can support, energize, and unburden our hearts. And some people say, well, you can't be joyful all the time. Well, you can look at joy from many different perspectives. It doesn't have to be the grinning Cheshire cat kind of joy. It can be inner peace and joy, just an inner trust and inner knowing and feeling harmonious. Maybe that includes feeling neutral. Just experience what you experience. Avoid judging as much as you can. That's the mind. The heart will connect us with our soul. And by and large, the soul seeks happiness, fulfillment, understanding. No thing. Fun. So people sometimes say, well, I need this and I need that to be happy. And they're always referring to external things, usually. But internal happiness is not something you can barter. It's something that you can appreciate and grow with just a simple desire to let go. Let go of your attachments. Be mindful of the moment, the present moment. Because in that moment, there are no worries, fears, and other attitudes. Notice what happens when you just acknowledge that. And feel your feet are firmly connected to Mother Earth, the great, compassionate nurturer. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could live in this state of consciousness all the time? So as you reach the 9th exhalation, inhalation, again, slip into what I call the neutral zone and just observe. No judgment required. Just witness. Be mindful, or maybe more accurately, be soulful. Feel. Okay, the third practice, 15 and 6, 15 and 3. Well, 6 is on the foot in the instep. So if you're good at bending your legs, half lotus, this, that, and the other, you could hold the 15 in the groin and kick up your leg and hold the instep. But it's probably more comfortable right now to hold 15 and 3. 3 is just a little way from the third thoracic vertebrae. Hook your right or left hand over opposite shoulders with the other hand in the groin, and you'll notice which one needs the most help. Close your eyes. Begin. Exhale. Let go. Inhale, receive. Cosmic purified energy. I wonder what that looks like. Maybe it's invisible to the naked eye. Maybe not. Clairvoyance will tell you they see all kinds of colors. It is what it is, and as it is, it is. Just be aware. And sooner or later, as you do this practice, you'll feel the pulses, either at the shoulder and the groin, or one or the other. And don't worry if you don't feel these pulses at first. Don't be limited by 9 exhalation inhalations. Carry on doing many more multiples if you have the time and diligence. So as you come to the 9th exhalation inhalation, you can choose to do one of those 3 practices, either left or right little finger now, hands in the groin, or what we just did, 11, 3 and 15. Or you can give yourself a hug. And that is the hands underneath the arm, touching the edge of the shoulder blade, the fingers, and then the thumb underneath the shoulder girdle. Decide which side or both. If you only want to do one side, take one hand away and place it on your same side thigh, whatever's comfortable for you. And we'll do the last 9 exhalation inhalations. Here we go. And see if you can feel that strong connection to the earth, feeling that rootedness as the heavenly, more subtle energies coming down the front of the body engage with the denser energies of the earth. Gives you a sense of rootedness, but it's not stagnant because it immediately turns around and spins its way back up in a positive direction, up the back, all the way through the 15, back to the back of the head, the 4. Joy and laughter are really opposite to fear and disaster, right? Or fearing disaster. And it's not superficial to laugh off things because the energy quality decides how well our cells allow us to thrive, survive. And though it's difficult sometimes, it's not that you don't express your emotions, all the different emotions, second depth, lung and large intestine, sadness, of course. Well, we feel it. We acknowledge it. And we let it go. Because if we hold on to it, it allows the growth of all kinds of stuck energies, which may become bigger labels. And Mary spoke often that this second depth with all these energy locks 5 to 15 is often the main cause of the bigger labels and the bigger projects that people have. They have chosen to get stuck in an attitude about this situation rather than opening up to the universal consciousness where, when we do fully open, there are many answers to our questions. And in fact, Mary had a course called A&Q, Answers and Questions. So be brave. You don't have to hide your tears or your sorrows or whatever. You just have to realize that they are an experience like everything else, which will eventually pass. Allow it to pass by breathing out. Encourage the new to come in by inhaling. Is it easy? Sometimes no. Sometimes we need support. Sometimes we need to get a Jin Shin Jyutsu treatment. The 2 or more are gathered, so the energy is greater to help us experience much more harmony, joy, and balance. So, if anyone's got any questions, now's a good time to fire away. So, if you've got any. I wonder what this button does. Q&A only. Yeah, I guess that's where you put your questions. Yeah. Yeah, so some of you are acknowledging the joy and laughter of opening the 15s. And just having a look here in the chat. Yeah, Galena, I like that quote. As a person thinks in his heart, so he is. Even though I heard Mary B say it's not who they really are when they're stuck in an attitude. Yes, I would agree with that, because who they really are is neutral. And it's not a kind of emotionless state. It's just that it's not attached to one attitude or another. And attitudes, by the way, are emotional responses that become crystallized. It's like we practice them a lot. So you can practice being happy a lot, or you can practice being sad a lot, or you can look for the harmony. So, I think the Buddhists talk about, the middle way, being in that kind of balanced perspective. We don't excessively laugh, we don't excessively cry, we just harmoniously do what is natural to us at the time. And sometimes, we fake it till we make it, as Caroline Mace was always fond of saying. And that kind of gets the motors going, it gets the chakras, the energy pathways moving, the centers spinning us around a bit. And the journey can be a little convoluted at times. It's okay, no judgment. Just remember, though, you have the breath, you have your fingers, and you have the ability to control, to a certain degree, your destiny. What do I mean by that? I mean your breath can carry through your life's path if you let it flow with you, if you let it allow you to let go of what you don't need. And most of us will say, well, but there's things I need for a long time. Well, if you spend some time reflecting on what you really, really did need, you may need some things for longer times than others. But you'll find there'll be times when you go, excess baggage. Let it go and step back. And maybe the joy rises into your heart and you go, oh, fabulous. So, anyway, it doesn't look as though there's any questions from anybody at the moment. Okay, fine. So those of you that watched the Wednesday edition, the storytelling would have spent 30 or 40 minutes, I see the recording, with myself and the delightful Tate Deuce and they're now from Hawaii, the Big Island, and Amy N. And that was a really inspiring discussion, very authentic discussion about practicing Jin Shin Jyutsu. I encourage those of you that are new, you might want to listen to some of those stories. We've had some very authentic stories, people bringing their true self into the picture. And when I mean true self, just being very honest. Sometimes we think we have to be a certain way when we present something because. No, we just have to be ourselves and trust that other people will accept or not, but don't be attached. It's just, be yourself and see what happens. So we will continue with the stories, alternating perhaps on a Friday. We'll see if there's anyone who wants to tell a story next Friday, or we'll do some practices. And if you have any questions, you can always pop them in the chat as well. And I just want to say, for Monday, happy Valentine's. I think we have this 15 flavor moving into the Monday. And 4 and 1, of course, is 5, erase all fears. All right. The human condition, caught up in fear, Bring the joy with your friends, partners. It's like Roy Wood of Wizard once said he wished it could be Christmas every day. In some ways, why could it not be the Valentine energy every day? Because, when we're giving to other people, we're exhaling, we're letting go, and we're opening our heart. That's why people like Christmas and Valentine's, because the heart connection is there, yes? And, I know some people think when Christmas comes or New Year's comes or Valentine's Day, I feel so depressed. I don't have this, I don't have that, no partner, this and that. You know what? There's more connections than we would realize. And, we can talk about the invisible realm. Some people will say angels, deities, devas, whatever. But energy's everywhere. We owe it to ourselves to let go of all our concepts of loneliness and this, that, and the other. We can feel it because sometimes it's very real. But let it go. Invite the joy in. Engage in being creative. Look for creative solutions to your situation and hold your 15s. See what that does when you're feeling I'd also say add to that conversation, hold your ones. And that's what I talked about on the Facebook page, the Jin Shin Jyutsu Facebook page this week. The prime mover, when you're feeling stuck, you can hold your ones. 1 and 5, 15. The 1 is moving all that fear and opening up the heart. Well, that's one way of looking at it, right? So be well, everybody. Be smart. Be safe. And when I say be smart, just be wise. You know who you know what you need to do or not. And if you don't know, just breathe out until you do know. And feel the joy. And when the joy comes, it's precious. Hold yourself in the joy. Why not? Give yourself a hug. All right, my friends, have a good rest of the day and good weekend. And I will be back again next Friday, same time. And we'll see what happens then. All right, take care. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Cheerio. And all the best to you all.